But I'd say there is one probably actually kind of close definitive adaptation of War of the Worlds, but it is not on big screen. As much as he's been trying for years to get it on big screen, it is yes, it is. It is the Jeff Wayne prog rock album from the 70s. Dan, are you aware of this?
I'm aware of the album. I'm aware of the cover art, but I've never sat down and listened to it. But maybe this is telling us something, that War of the Worlds works as the original novel. It works as a prog rock, album, but probably just doesn't work on TV or a film.
This was my life growing up. I prefer War of the Worlds to Doctor Who, and that's sacrilege to some of the people that know me. So I love War of the Worlds, and I think this album is phenomenal. Richard Burton narrates it as well, which is very dear to my heart as another taff. Yeah, I think this is the closest we're going to get to a definitive adaptation. James, you held the records up then? Are you a fan?
Oh, I was actually listening to it when I was looking at the eclipse. And when we were ticking down to when the little postcode tracker said we were going to have the most eclipse or the least sun we were going to get, it was the start of the Forever Autumn track where they're the chimes. And I'm like, oh, it's actually counting down to the eclipse. This is amazing.
Yeah. Highly recommend it. There's two versions of it. There's this one. There is the one with Liam Neeson and Gary Barlow on it, which is just yeah,
you've sold it, mate. You've sold it.
No. I'm not selling you on. I'm not selling you on Gary Barlow and Liam Neeson. I'm talking Richard Burton and Justin Hayward and Chris Thompson. Like, go for them guys. I recently just saw it in the Co-op Live, and it was Charlie from Busted instead of Justin Hayward. And bless it, he didn't have the voice for it. So, but
I just want Gary Barlow to narrate it, as a Richard Burton thing. It was August 12th at midnight, and it would be delightful.
He sings the chances of anything coming from Mars. I'm not going to sing it, but Jeff Wayne has been trying to get this version on screen for years. Back in 2000 and I want to say 2011, I met him. It was Richard Burton Day in the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. And they had Richard Burton. They didn't have Richard Burton because he's dead. That'd be a surprise. But they had Jeff Wayne over to do a talk just about War of the Worlds. And it was ridiculously poorly advertised. So they had a 200-seater theatre, and there was like 6 of us. And that was it. And it was, he talked about making War of the Worlds and stuff. And I asked him the question. I was like, so how does it feel knowing that people think like the modern blockbuster, the 2005 Steven Spielberg version, pales in comparison to an album you made in the 70s? And he told the story then about how when Spielberg was making the film, because he owned, Jeff Wayne owned the rights to the music, but he didn't own the rights to the film. Spielberg wanted the rights to everything. He wanted them all in a neat little box. So he approached Jeff Wayne to buy the rights to the music, and he said, "No." He said, "You're not buying the rights." He said, "But you can have the rights for free if I can have your movie rights." And he said no repeatedly. And then I think some execs got involved, and Jeff Wayne kind of was like, "Oh yeah, you tell him that." On a panel in like the 90s, him, George Lucas, and like Ridley Scott voted this album the best sci-fi thing ever made, blah, blah, blah. And then Spielberg came out and was like, "Yeah, you can have the rights for free." And so Jeff Wayne has had the movie rights for free for years, but he hasn't done it. Like, he hasn't done it. Have you been to see?
I was going to say, it's a question for you, Luke. Do you think it can be done then? Do you think it can make that step between this amazing musical experience and a fantastic film?
I think this version, as it is now, you can do this. You can do this. This could be a solid 90 minute 100 play. It is a 100 play film. I think this version, the Jeff Wayne one, you can. It lends itself more to it, especially because some of the CGI in the live show was actually the CGI for the film that they were making. So it's kind of already there, but he kind of wanted it to be a mix mash of CG and how it is. Have you ever seen the live stage show, James?
I have not, no.
You haven't?
I haven't. No, I actually haven't. I missed it when it was at the Co-op Live. Yeah, no.
Oh mate, I'm kind of disappointed in you as a War of the Worlds fan. I'm kind of disappointed to you. I remember so the first time that we met, didn't you tell me the story about when you moved to Liverpool? The only album you had was War of the Worlds.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I had no internet for the first week, no TV for the first. I basically had electricity for 2 weeks, and a record player I got for Christmas, and 3 records. One of them was War of the Worlds. So like my evening's entertainment while I was having my dinner was just like, I listen to War of the Worlds again and again and again every night for about 2 weeks.
So are we selling you on this, Dan? Are you going? Are you
I do have
keen to go watch the live adaptation?
I have a record player, so I might stick on the record first. And I think a live show for something like this could work with music that is quite. I can imagine something like this really just popping and sounding amazing and being an incredible live experience. But again, it's that transition, and maybe War of the Worlds just doesn't need that transition. Keep it to the theatre, keep it to the record, keep it to the book. Some things are just golden in those art forms, in those platforms.
So I spoke about Liam Neeson taking over. James, have you heard the new version of the War of the Worlds?
I've heard bits of it. Yeah, I think the old one is just too ingrained into my brain that there's like a delay where I'm expecting to hear a certain sound, and then if something jars with that, I go like, oh no, I don't quite like that. It just
So I was going to say, so because Liam Neeson does definitely have a very definitive voice, like Richard Burton does. But now every time I hear like any War of the Worlds narration, even if it's the 2005 one, I'm expecting or want a Richard Burton.
Yeah.
Do you think he's essentially his voice has become the narrator for War of the Worlds, or
it's
do you
become
think
Richard Burton's voice has become my internal monologue when I was reading the book. I was reading everything in Richard Burton's voice, which was actually a lovely experience. But yeah, no, like I think for people, and for a lot of people actually, this music will have been their sort of gateway into the story of the War of the Worlds. And I don't know, yeah, it is very formative, and I just do hear that voice and those motifs, and David Essex is the artilleryman. It's just
yeah.
I can't help it. It's for me anyway. Like this was probably the first piece of War of the Worlds media I ever consumed.
Same.
So yeah.
So on paper, then, a Victorian alien invasion told through a prog rock album sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it's not ridiculous. So why do you think it doesn't feel ridiculous, James?
I think, weirdly, when we were talking earlier about like maybe it's difficult to translate into film because there isn't like an action protagonist, the journalist goes through exactly the same story beats in the record as he does in the book, but it doesn't feel passive. Richard Burton doesn't feel passive in it. So I think there is a way to translate that narrative with a protagonist who still feels like he has some agency, even though he's getting washed away in the chaos of it. So I think that the record does have a really good blueprint for translating the narrative thrust of it without having an action hero. So I think that's a definite tick in its favor for one.
Yeah, this is the version I'd love to see put to film. But because this has become so iconic around the world now, like Jeff Wayne still tours it. We did have the live immersive experience that has sadly died a death, which Jeff Wayne was funding after the company went into liquidation. But do you think Jeff Wayne has created imagery that's become almost iconic as the story himself, the book itself? You know, like the Martian tripod, the heat ray, the red weed. So that is now synonymous, the Jeff Wayne version, with the War of the Worlds, as the book is.
Oh god, for me, 100%, like completely. The lovely little like the lyric sheet with all of the artwork and everything, the underground, that is now when I revisit it, and when I, not even when I'm listening to the record, but reading the book or anything, that imagery is the imagery I see, because it is just it's so vibrant and otherworldly and fantastic.
How important is the Thunder Child? Because it doesn't feature in a lot of adaptations.
I know, it's bizarre to me. The whole sequence as described is like, it's pure Spielbergian tension, actually. So like it's a
Yeah.
very filmic sequence. So it's very strange that it's been omitted from so many adaptations. And also the Thunderchild motif at the end of the B-side of the first disc is really, really nice.
It's great. It's great. I'll have to get you on it, Dan. I'll have to come around the flat and we'll just get drunk and listen to War of the Worlds. It's great.
Hey, mate, that sounds like an ideal Friday night. Yes, why not?
It's good. I've had it on all day. So yeah. So do you think there's a danger then that if someone come out now and try to make the definitive War of the Worlds, people would just kind of already pass it by and just think of Jeff Wayne?
Well, you see that with, I mean, something like Lord of the Rings, where the books are phenomenal and you'll never be able to create them, page by page as an adaptation. The thing that came closest was obviously the Peter Jackson films, which were just peak cinema in my eyes. And then when you get Amazon coming in later on trying to do Rings of Power, then you get a lot of fans going, well, it's not quite Peter Jackson. Well, Peter Jackson wasn't quite Tolkien. So if you've got a definitive version in some fans' eyes, they will cling on to it for their dear life and say that is the version. And I suspect that'll be the same for the fans of the Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds. Anything else but that, they will just reject immediately and be maybe actively hostile to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned something to do with Klingon then, and I was like, just not bring Star Trek into this because that's an entirely different conversation. On that, James could probably contribute to. I can't. And so, do you think if someone made a faithful adaptation of War of the Worlds, the book, would you be tempted? Would you want Jeff Wayne music anywhere near it, or would you want it like arm's length, James?
Well, if it was made personally for me, I would want Jeff Wayne's music all over it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think as well, it's too often the people who get there first end up being the definitive. And as like for both of us, this was our entry point to then consume all other media. So we've kind of got a weird capacity to look at other stuff critically and be like, there hasn't been a definitive film adaptation. There hasn't, but in the back of our minds, it's because this for us is our Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. This is the baseline definitive War of the Worlds, just because it kind of, for me, was what got to me first.
Yeah, fair. Dan, do you think anyone will ever try and adapt the book faithfully? And do you think it can be done, or do you think it should be done?
I think the person who probably would adapt it would be you, Luke, frankly. But
no, so we're doing I Made War of the Worlds the feature. It's a short film me and James and John Carley and Elizabeth made, and we're doing that version of it. I'm not touching the book. I know I can't do it justice, but I can do a version of it.
But that's exactly it, because
you've got me.
That's my point. Like it goes back to the first point I made. You always have a version of an adaptation of a reimagining of. If you do it page by page, word by word, just read the bloody book in the first place. And even then, our imaginations and interpretations of it page by page, word by word, would be different from yours and mine. We imagine the characters in different ways, which I know is the root thing of any media and any reimagining of it. And I think for War of the Worlds, it exists as a really amazing bit of literature, and it exists as other bits of literature and like music. Clearly, prog rock is clearly at the moment the best imagining of it. I just don't think you could do it like for like, but that's not the point, because if you did, I think it would probably be dull or it just wouldn't quite work anyway.
Yeah, James, why do you think so many people just can't get War of the Worlds right?
I don't, like I say, like if you're looking to adapt it and you go back to the source material, I think it's hard not to see everything that sort of came after that built on those ideas and expanded it more. So if you go back and do a pure adaptation of the text, it would probably feel lacking to modern audience sensibilities for what they expect from an alien invasion. I mean, for all intents and purposes, bloody Independence Day is War of the Worlds.
Yeah, even the Martians look very similar in 2005 to Independence Day. They look very, very similar, which is shocking.
Yeah, but like if you're going to do a faithful adaptation, you're going to realize that, oh God, this was a science fiction story that was written at the turn of the 20th century. Like, we have kind of come a long way since then in genre storytelling, and it might feel a little anemic. So you're going to probably be feeling that you need to do a little, you need to tart it up a little bit. And then before too long, it's kind of unrecognizable from the thing that you're trying to faithfully adapt.
Yeah, I think just stick with Jeff Wayne. I think we'll make our version, and that will be the definitive one. I think the Jeff Wayne one's incredible. The Jeff Wayne.
Do you reckon Jeff Wayne, if you ask him nicely, will he give you the rights to use his music in it?
I'll tell you. Oh wait, do you remember the premiere we did of I Made War of the Worlds, Time Machine and Invisible Man we did in December? And I I'm not going to talk about that live. But no, I just think I think people miss the point of the book when they translate it to the screen.
At the start, he's talking about how the Martians are coming here because they completely shit out their environment and they just colonize here, like the same that we did to the bison and the dodo. So if you made a story that faithfully adapted that now, everyone would call it woke, and it'd be an absolute hellscape.